What's going on, YouTube? Southern Comic Geek coming to you with some more unboxings. And so, did get a chance to run to the LCS today and pick up one book that I missed last week. But other than that, mainly some auction winnings from some fellow YouTubers came in today, and a lot of other goodness. And so thought I'd jump on live and see who I can share it with, either live or on the rewind. So hopefully everybody's day is doing great and grand. I came home from the days of work, corona free, as far as I know, and got some comic book boxes. How much better can it get? So a lot of people are not fortunate enough right now to be doing any of the things that I mentioned, whether it be work, come home, or have comic books. It'll be helpful. So definitely want to count my blessings there. So I've got an idea what some of these are, but I don't know what order they're in. So we'll just find out together. How about that? We'll find out how to get to Sesame Street together. No cool times. People. All right, what do we got here? What's going on, Agu Ramos? Hopefully everything is going okay for you up in the Pacific Northwest. Yes. This is a thing that it's more to come on this one. So ordered this blank sketch variant. I reached out to somebody about doing me a sketch variant, and they said that was fine. They gave me a price, which was fairly reasonable. They said I'm going to need a sketch variant to do that. So I like my stuff to kind of match. It's going out with puppy. Oh, okay. So yeah, this will give you an idea of what I plan to get drawn on here. But there is more to come with that. So that's a lackluster opening right now, but anticipation. Let it get you. And today, just in here, opening some good old comic book goodness. Spent way too much money over the weekend on a lot of YouTube. Well, some of this is from the weekend before. So spent way too much money on comic books, but hey, it's okay. And sold some, not quite as much as I bought, but somehow that works out. All right, what do we got here? Well, if you all notice, I did change my logo up there, and I don't know if that's permanent, but tell me what you think about it when you get a chance. And that's because I'm a Valiant guy. I know me and the other two people that read Valiant comic books. And not as much the, what's going on, Hack 79? How is it hanging up there with you? But so not as much now as it was back in the 90s when Valiant first came out, but I still collect Rye and Bloodshot, and Exo was pretty good, I thought. So I've got a lot of whole runs of a lot of the 90s era Valiant comic books. They're worth essentially next to nothing except a few key issues, but I've runs nevertheless, which I'm more of a run guy most of the time. So I picked this one up. So now I've got Harbinger 1 through 28, I think. And so that was the one I was missing. That is the death of this cat right here. And so as retcons typically go, for any of you who remember the 90s age Valiant comic books, in the new one, when they relaunched in 2012, Torque, who's this guy right here, didn't die. Flamingo ended up dying. And so Chris, who is some form of a Psyot in the new ones, she was not in the old ones, and her and Peter were together. Well, Chris had relations with Torque in the old one, not in the 2012 version. And so they had relations with Torque. She had relations. Torque got pregnant, and the baby, Torque's body is a hard exterior or whatever. So in the old ones, when she had the baby, which was during the whole Unity saga, that baby became Magnus the robot fighter. And so the baby was taken into the future and became Magnus. In the new, she was nowhere near as big as what they drew her today, which it doesn't matter to me. I'm just kind of some useless trivia for you. Not that you asked for it, but hey, there you go. So that was a good pickup for that one. That run there. And so a couple of the eBayers. So when I buy stuff on eBay, Hack, I know I've got some stuff with you. We need to just kind of chit chat on some stuff that you got that I want, and then that way I can go ahead and get a box full and get my stuff to me. I'm the kind of guy who likes to pay for my stuff when I order it, otherwise I forget. And then the other thing will happen is I'll see it and I'll go, oh, I want to get that, and then forgot I got it somewhere else. And also like to have my stuff in my collection and my boards and bags. I'm just weird like that, I know. But sometimes fires on you. So in this particular case, I got this from Mr. Comics 89. No, I didn't. I got one from Mr. Comics 89. I guess it's another day. That he mailed off, and then ended up buying some more stuff from on the thing. Sure, just hit me up. Got a lot of books this week. Check out my last video. All right, we'll do. I've got a couple of cool ones that I try to do, and sometimes them auctions will go like way too fast, and I'll be like trying to write it down and key it in to keep up with what I owe to whom. And especially like today, I was on Discovery Bay for a lot of the 100 rounds he went. Well, actually, I was in the chat for the whole thing, but actually selling books and buying books online the majority of that time. And so I'm sitting there trying to write stuff down. Finally, I just said, forget it. I'm just going to send this thing and say, hey, tell me what I bought and tell me how much I owe you, because it's hard to keep up with. But I tried to do it, and then I'll go ahead and put it in my CLZ app so I don't forget and accidentally buy it somewhere else. But again, sometimes it's a little hard to keep up with. I was on IG last night. IG, this is where I got these from. I didn't realize. Yeah, but you look, you sell. You're like, I'm sure you're like me. Like when I sold stuff, it wasn't that I need the money. I just wanted to go ahead and get it done. That way, because I don't like owing anybody. I don't like anybody owing me, right? And then I'll take that money, I'll go buy something else with it. I mean, that's just me, but whatever. But at the same time, I want to have enough in the box to make it make sense. But sometimes I disobey that rule and go ahead and get them to send it and end up having to buy another box. So this is, I was on IG last night, and Elite Comics was doing this sale with some other comic shop. And like they would bring a book up there, and I'm like, oh, I want to know something more about it. So I type in, hey, I want to know about such and such. Well, by the time they were fixing to tell me about a Batman, somebody else come on the camera and start talking and then they forgot about coming back to the Batman book. So finally, I bought one Batman. It's the issue is 200 and something, 220 something maybe. It's the one gold is on the front standing over Batman, and Batman is laying down, Neil Adams cover. Gotten a pretty decent grade, about an 8.5, I think. And yeah, man. And then when them all over the world like that, finally I just said, forget it. This is the book I'm going to buy. We'll do whatever. I'm going to go somewhere else because it just got way too aggravating. And you're right, the lag. And by the time they go back and mention something, and then a couple of people in the chat were like, you didn't give me that chance or whatever. And so people were getting aggravated with it. Now this guy, he's got kind of a smooth setup. I forget his M Comic Sales or something. Don't get paid to advertise for him. Just telling you my experience. And it seems to be only him. So got this one right here, Catwoman number 15. Not a big Catwoman fan. Matter of fact, I sold the few I had. Most of the ones I had over the weekend, but man, check that cover out. If that's not retro, I don't know what is. Probably one, if not the best Catwoman. So really cool looking cover. That was certainly a cover buy. This is Batman 995. And it was kind of funny because I've seen another YouTuber do a thing on Mark Brooks. And I said, I didn't know he'd done that one. And then here comes this one popping up on IG. And so I kind of haggled with him a little bit and got it down and essentially for cover price and bought it. So cool Mark Brooks cover. What's going on? Happy Monday to you. Mind Shift, aka Comics on the Mind. And you know what? If you're here, you already know it, Comics on the Mind. That's his saying, not mine, y'all. It's probably trademarked, and he's probably going to sue me in trademark court. So this was the big book that I bought from this guy. It's Star Wars number 42, first appearance of Boba Fett in comic books. So, Star Wars fan, Boba Fett really never saw the love that he needed to in the original trilogy. Now with the Mandalorian out, and of course I read Star Wars back with what they now refer to as legacy books and Dark Horse stuff and the like. And this is his first appearance, and so. It looks about like an 8.5. I was hoping maybe I could get it up to a 9, but this is a pretty big book. So I was glad to pick that one up. Had this book already. I did not have the this version of it. Clayton Crane, Can't Go Wrong, and Batman, Can't Go Wrong. Batman number 77. So Clayton Crane cover. So pretty cool. This was a series that I got on a little later, filling up the chat with Washington State. Hey, look, I've got a lot of family in Washington State, JRK, and so that is A-OK. My sister lives in Washington State. My aunts live in Washington State. My cousins live in Washington State, and my father used to live in Washington State. So, hey, that's okay, right? And so, yeah, this was a series I got to late. And so the one I had was like a 6th printing of the first deal. And then I picked this one up for $7. This is a first printing, really cool looking cover. I picked up the Once and Future. Anybody in the Cali, baby? Hey, there you go. We're in Washington, Marysville. So a little north of Everett is where the majority of my folks reside. Hey, yeah, Comics on the Mind. Yeah, Seattle's a great place to visit. A lot of things to see. I tell you what, they were going to go to Mexico, and they said, "Hey, look, we're fixing to shut the border down." So that kind of ended that little deal. I'm reading Once and Future. Neat. Yeah, so I just picked up 7. Was it last week? So it got in on the last of the Diamond comics there. But this is number 1, the first print. 7, I just picked up, and I wish I would have known about that Jenny Frison cover because it was sure enough fire. Yeah, Maryville is. Yeah, there you go. So I was up there for my grandfather's funeral last year. The last time I was up there back in September. Yeah, because he died like a week before my daughter was born. Yeah, there you go. So then I got Batman the Red Death. Pretty cool Dark Knights series. I just hadn't been able to pick her up on the cheap. So I saw that one and bought it from him. Yeah, no, it's pretty sad. My LCS is still open, unfortunately, with the announcement last week that Diamond was no longer doing. A lot of LCSs are going to be closing because the vast majority of their income is derived from new comic book sales. The LCS that I go to does have a lot of used and back issues, so that's good for them. Unfortunately for the owner, the guy that works for him has worked for him for 14 years. Real nice guy, really knowledgeable. You can carry on a conversation with him and everything like that, but he has zero ambition. So he and I were having a good talk last week, and I was like, man, you could be doing Instagram sales, eBay, while you're just sitting up here, open the shop to the public for just a few hours and then close the shop, but then be putting all this stuff, having Instagram auctions and those type of things. And so you can still be making your money. You're still sitting up here. If anybody needs something, you just go down there and unlock the door. But he's like, yeah. I was like, okay, well. So there you go. Who knows? Okay, so yeah, I picked this up. The guy that bought these from, he has auctions, and I won one book, which I'll show you in a minute, and then he'll have some buy it nows in there. Like I said, he's slow burn, but he's got a good system. Watching your YouTube channel right now, huh? Wow. Hey. Cool. And I don't remember buying this book, so maybe he gave me a freebie. If he didn't, I'll give him credit for it. Uncanny X-Men number 27, a variant edition. I do not have this variant edition. This looks to be from Uncanny X-Men Volume 3. I can't remember the artist's name that did most of those. This series. I just know from the title that that's probably what that is. But that's a Delgado cover. That's what it looks like. Sabine. Anyway, pretty cool. And this was one-on-one. So you'll buy stuff or win stuff on the auction, and you'll get one ticket per win. And at the end of the deal, he'll draw one. So this is the Batman Who Laughs special edition. It was free when it came out, but you can find them for sale now, and you can cut out and make a mask where you want to be. You want to be the Batman Who Laughs, minus the slobber and the blood. Anyway, so pretty cool. Already had that, but might give it out or sell it to somebody. Who knows? I will have it and just made it to the end, so don't know what the grail was. Don't spoil it. Oh, oh well, it didn't spoil it. So, Hack, you picked up an ASM 300. Congratulations. JRK says, did you win anything on MM Comics yesterday? No, I did not. After I bought this from him last week, and week 4 last now, and I got this from him. So I was on there, and he had the Batman 221 or 27. It's got the Neil Adams cover. It's a cover swipe from an earlier Batman, but it's got him like overlooking a castle. It's like kind of a horror vibe to it. He had that one last night. He also had a Batman 251. He had ASM 300, a 299, 297, 296. Oh, he saw me in there. Okay. So how did he know I was in there? But so yeah, so that I bid on that. I wanted that book. It was in a decent grade. I just didn't want to pay what ended up paying. I ended up buying some stuff off, or one thing off of Elite Comics Instagram auction last night. And so I had spent Saturday while I was on Discovery Base channel from the various YouTubers. I picked up first and second Poison Ivy from Big Will. And so it'll be going out tomorrow. And a couple other cool pickups, but nothing big. That was the biggest thing I picked up. That was big enough, especially with all this other stuff going on, you know? Yeah, you just have to draw the line somewhere before you get ridiculous with it, which I'm probably past ridiculous, but I still try to draw the line occasionally. Yeah, so I was on some auction, and Geek Aficionado was on there, and so I picked this bad boy up. Early Moon Knight appearance. Yeah. Marvel Spotlight on the Moon Knight. So I got him to press it while he had it. And that's number 28. I like Moon Knight. He's not up there with like Batman or anything, but he is kind of a Batman swipe, although. But I do like Moon Knight, probably the madness side of things. Yeah, so early Moon Knight, picked that up from him. And in the same auction, picked up this one. Funny thing about Moon Knight number 1, of course, Bill Sienkiewicz goodness right here. And Bill Sienkiewicz is probably the best person. Well, I say the best person. One of the best people to draw Moon Knight, because to me, Sienkiewicz's works like speaks madness. So like he draws a Joker, you can get like he's mad from the art. So like the words, the character, the art all speak to madness. And so you can see that in Sienkiewicz's work. That's just my opinion. So he was probably a good one to do it. Although talking about Moon Knight, gotta love some David Finch and even some Stephen Platt. I don't think Stephen Platt does a lot of work anymore, but I have met David Finch before, and he is a very nice guy. And that goes a long way. Love his New Mutant stuff, too. Of course. What's up, dude? Perry Comic coming in here and visiting with us. We're just chatting and opening up some winnings here. And oh man, Perry, tell me you didn't show the toe, man. You show the toe, I'm gonna have to skip that video or block it for inappropriate content. So yeah, Sinkep, and the funny thing about that mind shift is that when I was a kid, I liked definitive lines. And so I did not like Sienkiewicz's work. I was like, oh, this is so horrible. You really can't tell the picture. But going back to it now, I can really see the art in it, right? I can really dig it now. I've gone back and got his Elektra, first issue of that Elektra series. I've got all the New Mutants, 1 through 100 of the first volume anyway. So it is probably like that. The toe is like a horror movie. Yeah, I can see that. It'd be like Perry's trying to be like he's probably trying to try out for the next Jurassic Park. And is it a raptor that has the little toe hooks like this? That's what Perry's going to be doing. I think somebody's already said it, but it was so funny when somebody said it about Perry, about your toe. Reminded me about Dumb and Dumber when they were having the pedicures and they had the little grinders out and they were doing like this and they're like, ah! Look, Dumb and Dumber, hilarious. It's got to be the funniest ever. Got to be the funniest ever. It's so funny. I was in murder scene is Perry taking off his socks. Yeah, so I was in Spain. Let's see, 2012, 2011. Anyway, so everything's like speaking Spanish. I don't understand a single word except they had this on in the lobby was Dumb and Dumber. So I could literally use an electrical. Yeah, there you go. Talking about nasty toe fungus, I had a guy who I still know him, and he had dropped a pallet on his toe, and so his toe nail had kind of gone black and stuff. I said, man, come over to the house and I'll help you take care of that. So I took a needle and put it on the eye of the stove and I heated it up. I had heard it worked somewhere. I'm not a doctor, nor do I play one on TV, but I got the needle, got it real hot, and went and stuck the needle into his toenail, with the idea of that pressure that's under that toenail, stuff coming out of the deal. Well, that didn't work. The needle got cold really quick, and then the toenail got stuck in the toenail. So I'm like, oh crap! I'm sitting there shaking it back and forth. I finally pull it off. The toenail comes off. I'm like, oh man, I hate it for you. He's like, yeah, but it feels better, I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna put some hydrogen peroxide. So I had one of those little bed pans, like they give you at the hospital, and he put his foot in there, and I poured peroxide on there. And so I'm thinking like the hydrogen peroxide would hit where that was and it would be up everywhere. It didn't even bubble on the toe. It bubbled in between his toes. I was like, oh my goodness. This is why doctors get paid big money here, people, to deal with the nastiness. it was bubbling. Toe jam. Oh, toe jam. Like Toe Jam and Earl. Anybody remember that Sega Genesis game, Toe Jam and Earl? Comment in the chat if you do. I guess I'm kind of speaking to my age there. So the geek aficionado, he couldn't find them on the auction, but then he sent me a message that he found these. Told me a price. I said, yeah, throw them in the box. So got Batman $2.99. Batman $2.99. We've killed the Batman. His threat is over. Look behind you. It's his ghost. Woo! That's Batman's ghost, not Perry's toe. Woo! So, yeah, used to play it all the time. Yeah. And then we got Batman, the 300th issue. Can a legend die? Don't miss this double-length last Batman story. Spoiler alert, folks. I haven't read this yet, but I can imagine Batman still crime fighting. Zombies ate my neighbors. Were you wishing that on your neighbors, Mineshift? I mean, you know. So there's hope on Infinity Island when the Lazarus Affair spells doom for Batman. Their fates are sealed, Talia, unless you turn to me. How you like that? And then we got Batman 340, and he battles the Mo. The Mo. A full-length blockbuster reuniting the talents of Roy Thomas and Gene Colan. Talking about the mole. Anybody heard about Austin Powers when he did that to Fred Savage's character? The mer, and he's gonna take his mo and he's gonna up and make guacamole out of it. The reason why that's funny, probably only to me and everybody else that watches, you know, crazy stuff like that. But holy moly, Batman! Yeah, that would be a good one. Holy moly, Batman! But yeah, so what's funny about that is my fourth son. You have to list them by numbers. I used to say the youngest, but he's not the youngest anymore. So, child, third son, fourth child. He has a mole on his face, and so growing up, we always have called him Mole. His name is Colton. Sometimes we call him Cole for short. Well, Cole rhymes with Mole. Call him Mole. And Mo. As a matter of fact, his younger siblings still call him Mole. That's what we taught him to call him. And so when I heard about that deal with Austin Powers, said about the mole, oh my goodness, I about fell out of the chair laughing. It was so hilarious. And everybody but him thought that was funny. When we did his kindergarten thing, we had to write a letter in there talking about him. And I said, oh, so we called him Moron. And it's like, who calls their kids morons? So demeaning. What kind of father are you? Well, it's something we called him. And I can only imagine the therapy the kid's going to need. So literally, I had to explain it to the school why I'm not calling him a moron, as in he lacks mental intelligence. After all, he has at least half of mine. But, you know, it was because of his mole and it's hilarious. It really is kind of an inside joke. I guess you just had to be there. So I did pick up some shoes and a slightly related subject. Yes, I have officially joined Geekdom with Marvel's Tom. And so got some casual sneakers. Perry, don't try this at home unless you get that toe fix, because then it will bulge out of there and it'll ruin these perfectly good slip-ons. And so pick those up as well. Just part of the comment column? Good grief. That's like counting votes for dead people. All right. Now, as we're winding this video down, we are. What is everybody in the chat reading? That there are no new comic book days out there. Well, hopefully you're able to, and hopefully there is a LCS to be supported by visiting them and picking up some back issues. And certainly a lot of stuff to catch up on reading. Everybody I've talked to said, hey, well, at least I'll get to catch up on my reading. There's a lot of stuff I've bought, wanted to read, just hadn't got around to it yet. So what is everybody in the chat? Or what are you collecting this year? You're going for the grails? You're going for the runs? As you know, I have recently completed my Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 run. And so I've been thinking about how I need to proceed. Do I go and start collecting another run, which I've kind of toyed with Batman? I'm talking about massive, especially if you want to go all in and not just do the like 300 to current or something. Yeah. Well, if you can do that, working on some Silver Age books. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm wondering, do I go that route? Seeing JP's budget collecting, and he was able to snag a Golden Age Batman. I was like, man, that is awesome looking. And you can go on eBay and get them, I say fairly cheap, I mean, $300-400 on a high grade if you're okay. Because low grade's better than no grade. Right. Yeah. No new comics this Wednesday. Key the sad music. FF books. Well, you know, I have never been an FF fan, but there are certainly a lot of good FF books out there. First Silver Surfer, Galactus, The Thing. I liked John Byrne's run back in the day. The storyline that led up to Johnny was married. Johnny marrying Ben Grimm's wife was kind of a little too much for me, but then come to find out she was a Skrull, and then now Ben Grimm's finally married. Yeah, and collect to read and collect. Yeah, collect to read, collect to have, and so yeah, I'm okay with it. Chaos in comics. What's going on, man? Been spending all my time on organizing my comics. Hadn't had any time to read anything. Still working too. Yeah, well, that's me too. You know, people talk about, man, I'm cooped up in the house. I'm like, dude, I'm still going all over. Got more conference calls today and meetings with people than I've ever had before. So the Chaos Bringer has joined us. So I think that's where I'm going to end up at. I don't think I'm going to go for another run since I've now completed the Uncanny X-Men run. Now, it might end up being that. I might, as I'm going, get a good deal on like a couple of big books or, you know, say, man, I done got the big keys. Might as well go for this little stuff now. See, whereas the Uncanny X-Men run, and I've heard of people doing it this way as opposed to the other way. The way I done it was I collected all the easy stuff first. Then I'm like, holy crap, I got all these big ones. It's kind of a thinking in my mind an insurmountable task. And so they tell you get the big ones first and then go for the little ones. It's whatever works for you. Yeah, Ben Grimm fan. I could see that. Because of the Inhumans. Okay. So the Inhumans were written a lot better back in the day, certainly better than the television show. Perry is going to say he's hard at work and he's hard at working. So there you go. Mike Rogers, what's going on with you, man? Been catching all your videos as of late. It seems like you're putting out more than you used to. All right. So, as you know, I was able to pick up this bad boy. Man, look at the cover on that. That's got to be a 10.0, right? Wow. Perry, if you're that good to get a toe suck on that toe, you are the man. Yeah, and Chaos is at lunch, so don't ruin his lunch by talking about your toe, Perry. I mean, that is a good way to run a good lunch. So yeah. Well, you'll notice this is a repro cover, so you can get these on eBay on the cheap. I mean, the ads and everything are exactly the same. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is true. This is true. Why am I holding it like this? Yeah, I should have gloves on and everything like that. So I don't want to smear. My hands are awful oily. And anyway, so I don't want to smear the ink. But so yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this puppy graded to encapsulate it and lock it down in history. I've already read this book multiple times before I achieved it. And we are triggered. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's going to present really well encapsulated and be really nice. Spray, he'd be snorting something to mess with Perry's toe. My goodness, there's got to be like a disclaimer on watching Perry and his toe. You know, if this was before the age of COPA, Perry would probably get yanked from YouTube for having an inappropriate material for underage viewers. I mean, enjoy your lunch. So here is the other one that I picked up. So I bought these comics as for those of you who have watched my stuff, you know I already got them, and I've already showed them off. But these are what came in today was the covers. Perry's got a camel toe. with that. Anyhow, so yeah, I think these are going to present really well, and it will suffice for have all these emails coming in while I'm trying to goof off on YouTube. Don't they know better? So first appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, except for, of course, Magneto, who made his first appearance in the other book that I held up, and I think it's going to present really well. And maybe one day, especially on this one, maybe not so much the other one, but on this one, probably upgrade it eventually and get me. Chaos, talking about coverless, there are only a few exceptions. I probably would not have made the exception. I lowered my standards for just a couple of What's in the Box show. How's it going? First time I've seen you in any of my streams, so appreciate you joining us. So to answer your question, so X-Men 1, X-Men 4, X-Men 9, which basically I didn't pay for. It came with another comic essentially for free. And then X-Men 14. Those are the only 4 coverless books I have. And those are some pretty pricey books. And so I was, I guess, seeing the eye on the prize and seeing the finish line in front of me, I was willing to push somebody down to get there. And I was willing to compromise a little bit. And yo, Rod the Rican joining us. What's going on with you, man? Appreciate you hopping in. But for the most part, Chaos, I don't. What are those replacements covers on eBay called? I can tell you that. Let's see. They're reproduction covers, and I think that's what I put in for those to get those. Now, if you plan on just putting them in a Mylar and presenting it, or putting it in a top loader or something like that, you ain't got to worry about what I'm fixing to tell you. But if you plan on grading them, did I? Okay. If you're planning on grading them, just know that, if you don't already, that CGC, the way they're going to do it is they're going to put no grade on it. It don't matter if you went in and did surgery on this puppy and attached it to the cover, they're not going to give you a purple label, and which doesn't make sense to me, because I thought that would really count as restoration, adding a new cover back. Isn't that restoration? Anyway, they said no, and they said it would be an NG. So I'm like, if it's an NG, then I'm not going to worry about getting it done with CGC. The 3 Auctioneers is the name of the eBay seller. The 3 Auctioneers, that's all one word, and they're the ones that, and then they put on there by popular request. So you just have to put in there what it shows, a Wiz Comics on there, but you just, in the notes when you buy them, you just have to put in there what you want. I'm going to buy those reproduction covers of X-Men 1 and wrap their own. There's plenty, or Youngblood 1, and you can put that in there, and then nobody knows the difference. And somebody comes over to your house and they go, "Oh, gosh, you're killing it, man." Oh, that old thing, don't worry about it. What would be funny is to kind of bring that out and make this big deal about it. I'm sure somebody's already done this on YouTube or Instagram, and then like have this book up there, but it really be Cyberforce in there, and then just go, "I'm tired of comics. I'm tired of this crap. I'm tired of the SJ social justice warriors. I'm tired of all this." Tear it all up, and people go, "Ah!" And then you go, "Oh, that's Cyberforce. Never mind." So he hates his toe too. Multiple copies, multiple volumes of Chapel. Yeah, and who didn't from back in the day, man? What's going on, Patrick Kelly? Patrick Roadhouse Kelly, the man with the fastest internet in all of the world. And Rod Perry is talking about his toe. I'm glad I marked that this is not suitable for kids under age 13. Truth be told, it's not suitable for anybody that has a weak stomach. Chaos has already wrapped some books. So anyway, if now I believe I don't use CBCS. But I use PGX for stuff that I've got signed, but I never got graded on spot. That type of thing. If I want, otherwise I use CGC. So I go from one extreme to the other, I guess. So PGX will grade at a 0.5, and I'd rather look at that than look at NG on the stuff. So I guess I'm anal like that. In tow, we trust. Yikes. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I plan to do. I've got some books. I'm fixing to send some books off to be pressed because I'm anticipating a return to con season once this Corona thing is blown over, and I have not seen them JRK. I did hear that they've got some new cases coming, and so maybe I will make a change once that happens. So this is not, I mean, and there's 10 people in the chat. I really appreciate that. Be sure to click that thumbs up before you get out of here. But me personally, I do not like the current cases of CBCS. That was one of the main reasons why I do not use CBCS as opposed to PGX as the alternative. So I think everybody pretty much uses one of those two as the alternative CGC. If they're going to use CGC, right? Anyway, reason why I don't is because one, I don't like their labels. Two, they're owned by a company named Beckett Media. Okay, nothing wrong with Beckett Media. And the company that owns Beckett Media is owned by a company called Eli Global. So Eli Global is one of these companies that has a whole bunch of rich people's money that goes in there and they buy, and I'm trying to think, Bain Capital. Mitt Romney worked for Bain Capital. Trying to think of the name, what you call them, venture capital firms. So that's what Eli Global is. And so Eli Global bought Beckett Media, and they own Beckett Media and a whole bunch of other stuff that they invest rich people's money in. So if you ever go to a lot and do some research on venture capital firms, typically they suck every company dry, and they've got their investment money and they're gone, and they file bankruptcy and they move on. Well, if you go to K&B Toys, Toys R Us, Mattress Firm, any of those companies right there, they too were bought by venture capital firms, seeming to rescue them, but really all they did was sink them in a mile high of debt. Eli Global owns insurance companies. I work for an insurance company. They own competitors of mine. And so they've outbid my company for things before. I do not hold resentment to them for that. However, Eli Global is in some hot water with regulators. And so they are looking at currently selling off some of their insurance assets. And I'm just wondering what's going to happen to some of their other investments, such as, but not limited to, Beckett Media, which includes CBCS. I don't think what I just said was not public knowledge. And so there's my disclaimer there if I just spilled the beans on something I shouldn't have spilled. But hopefully nothing happens to them. Hopefully if they did end up selling, they could fly on their own or be bought by CGC or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But I was just kind of wondering what would happen to them if any of that was to happen. So August says, biggest change is that I can't go get trivia night on Wednesdays. Yeah, pretty rough doing that. Still, Seattle people still crying the beaches. I go, are you serious about that, man? It's kind of like those people, Louisiana, which is, I live in Mississippi, so it's right next door to me. I live about 2 hours from New Orleans, so about an hour from the border of Louisiana. And the reason why Louisiana is a hotbed for coronavirus is because of Mardi Gras. So they had Mardi Gras, and everybody's sitting there having a good time, and then they're going back up to their places, and they were all spreading corona unknowingly. So it's a pretty big hotbed right next door to us here. Oh yeah, I can imagine. And it was funny. CBS, just checking to make sure whether they're going to weed out the morons. Yeah, that's true. I don't believe we evolved from monkeys, but there is a certain truth to evolution in that the weak. Here I sound like Apocalypse. The The strong will survive. The mutants will, and it sounds more like the apocalypse from the 92 X-Men cartoon. The mutants will become. Anyway, so yeah, so that is my haul, and I appreciate everybody stopping by. And hopefully everybody is staying safe, and you and yours are playing it safe out there. You know, we've got to be smart about this. I think the vast majority of all this that's going on is hype. With that said, I'm not naive to believe that there's nothing true going on with this. So, was that Sean Connery? Yeah, Sean Connery, like the Highlander Sean Connery, or I like a martini, shake it, not stir. Hopefully that's not too annoying. I'm trying to get it in, get it down in there. That's what she said. So anywho, hopefully everybody's staying safe out there and being able to weed past all the hype in the media world and be able to see this for what it is. And it's a thing that will pass just like other things have passed. And we just got to be smart about it, right? So hopefully everybody's staying smart out there, except for Perry. But, you know, most everybody's staying smart out there, and certainly everybody's staying corona free, among other things, and that you'll be able to get up your books on some form of media or another. Does it sound like that DC is figuring out some other way? And, you know, and then some people came out mad about that. I'm like, dude, what do you want them to do? Wave a magic wand and bail out the comic book industry? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like DC comes out and says, hey, we're going to do this stuff, and we're going to raise money for brick and mortar shops. How dare you say that? You know, you're going to pick the strong ones. See, here's the reality of it, people. Here's another good history lesson. Okay, I just lost viewership on that one, right? But no, seriously, here's a good history lesson. There's a thing called ice shops. Does anybody know what an ice shop is? Okay, an ice shop is before ice boxes, also known as refrigerators, came out. You had to have these big blocks of ice. You had a big old scissor-looking thing that would pick up the big ice blocks. You'd put it down in the thing and keep everything cool, and you'd have to go down to the ice house, not the party house ice house, but the ice house to get the ice house. Oh, that's crazy. And so you would have to get the ice house, and that's how you would, keep your stuff cool. Well, as most of you know, most everybody has electricity nowadays, and so you don't have to worry about the ice houses anymore. So they've gone the way of the dodo. Well, there was one particular ice house that decided that to diversify their stuff. And so they started selling a little milk and little eggs where people would come in at the same time they were getting their ice and pick up a couple of other various sundry of items. And then eventually when the ice went away, they were still selling all this other stuff too. That company's name is 7-Eleven. See, everybody knows 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven's still around, but there's a lot of ice houses that didn't make that transition. And that's with any time in our history. Not everything will last. There's a thing called Charlton Comics, Malibu Comics, Atlas Comics, all these comic book companies that are no more. Okay. So things will go and things will come, and we have to adapt. We don't have to change the core of who we are, but we have to adapt to the change in times. That's one thing I didn't understand from a business aspect is why put all of your eggs in one basket? Not harping back to the egg analogy, but why put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to distribution of your comics? It is a recipe for disaster. And now, in the middle of all this, we find out that that's never been more true. So, tell you another one. How about another story, right? Story time with Southern G. So, there was another company before Walmart came around, little 5 and dime stores. And so the five and dime stores, of course, have gone the way of the dodo. Walmart and big box retailers like them have taken the place of that. And it's a natural course of things. Everybody likes to get their stuff cheaper. Everybody likes to go to one place for it. And so now you got Walmarts, now you got Targets. I was going to say Kmart, but they're another lesson in what not to do if you want to survive in the marketplace. But there was one 5 and dime store that decided that in order to survive, they better instead focus on one niche product. product. And that niche product that they chose was, well, let me tell you the name of the five and dime store. If any of you have ever heard of Woolsworths. Woolsworths, anybody? Woolsworths. So Woolsworths was a five and dime. They actually had a soda counter if you were good enough. I never was. So I never was good enough to get anything from the soda counter when we went into Woolsworths, but you could get ice cream or Coke float or whatever they like. So Woolsworths is fixing to go away. They say, what are we going to do? We got to focus on a niche product. What do they become? Well, they decided to diversify into footwear. You probably have heard of them today. Foot Locker. Foot Locker is the old Woolsworths. So Woolsworths had to either survive and thrive or die. And so it's the same thing with, unfortunately, with these comic book stores. You know, it's like the guy that I was talking about at my LCS, great guy, just has zero ambition. He could be tearing it up in the marketplace right now. And so he could be tearing it up in the marketplace. He could be having Instagram sales and so on and so forth. The one competitor he has in the city, which is in the capital city, yeah, try not to go to malls. You know, hey, that's another part of their evolution, and so we'll see if it survives, survives and thrives from there. But he could be tearing it up right now because the other comic shop in town is sells nothing but new books, or majority of new books, and then derives a lot of their income from Magic tournaments. Well, that Magic tournament thing's over with, and the new book things is over with now. So all the people that he slighted, like myself, who doesn't like going go to back issue bins and have to dig for stuff that you're going to go have to pay eBay prices at the end of the day for. I don't mind digging in a back issue bin if I'm going to get a deal. But when nothing's in order and then you go up there and they have to look at eBay prices, not what's sold, but eBay prices to get your price, then thanks, but no thanks. So now when you have to worry about work with just people like me, now you're in trouble. See, he could be tearing it up with people like that and put those people out of business. He could be the main man in town. But only time will tell whether or not he will make it. And selling online, exactly. But see there, and I've seen this, and I attribute this to Stan Lee because I've seen it as a quote from Stan Lee. So if it's not from Stan Lee, it's a good one. We'll give it to him anyway. How about that? Last pair of shoes I bought from him was Michael Jordan's Team Elite 20s. Michael Jordan's another lesson in marketing for you right there too. But it was attributed to Stan Lee that Stan Lee said that, hey, comics are like boobs. They're great looking at them on the screen, but there's just something about touching them and feeling them. So I think that there's still a big market for people that like to touch and feel the comics. There's always going to be the digital. Yes, you got to go out there. Yes, you got to sell. I got Perry's attention on that one. Perry's like, what, huh? But yeah, so think about, hey, look, I'm full of analogies and I'm from the South, my analogy for people being nervous. Oh man, you sound like and I stole this one from the X-Men 92 X-Men Row. You sound like you're as nervous as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. I think that was the one that she did on the first show where Morph died. Morph! That was, tear I can't believe they killed it. Morph. But Michael Jordan is a lesson in marketing. But as much as Michael Jordan has brought to the game of basketball, he still has to be on his A game. He has to still watch what he does, watch what he says, what he invests in. But when a man could have played basketball 20 plus years ago, and he's still selling tennis shoes today, hello. I mean, that man's got it going on. That didn't happen because he was just a good player in basketball. Because there's been plenty of good players, not as good as him, but there's been plenty of other good players in basketball. since him, but no one sold as much as him. And the reason being is because he's a master marketer, or he surrounds himself with master marketers. Yeah, Wolverine was. Yeah, he's going, I'm gonna take him out. You know, it was awesome. It was awesome. Um, yeah, yeah, Wolverine was definitely ticked, and he took him out. Um, so, well, and hopefully, yours and my local comic shops will learn to adapt from this stuff, and will be able to survive and then thrive as it cold out the wheat and destroy size car. Yeah, yeah, that was funny. And there's a you it's oh goodness, what was it? It was is it his he? How it should have ended, or it's another one. Anyway, they talk about like various TVs or various movies thing, and they did one for X-Men '92, and they talk about every time um, every time that Jean Grey, fainted, she was having an orgasm. It was like, and it's like, I never thought about that. And it's amazing how I never thought about that, because, at the age I was then, it would have been like, every um, pubescent boy would think about that. You'd be like, wow, Jean's hot, Rogue's hot, that type of thing. And so, at least I was that way. Um, anyway, but I appreciate everybody stopping by and watching. Perry's thinking about it now. Perry's thinking about it now. He's like, how could I have missed that, man? So everybody that watched this on the live and on the rewind, be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We are approaching 300. And as I've mentioned in the last couple of videos, I will be doing a giveaway when we hit 300 for the 300 show. As well as we still got the 400 subscriber giveaway going on that one. So be sure to check out that video, the 400 subscriber video. Be a subscriber and comment on that particular video that you want to win or you want to win. And that will enter you there. And when we have the 400 subscriber giveaway, we will be giving away those comics that are shown in that video. Be sure to share this with your friends, your family, maybe people you don't like. In either case, all you got to do is get them to subscribe so we get closer to being at that mark. Perry's going to go watch Disney Plus. He's going to be binging that, man. Yeah, he's definitely going to be binging the X-Men. And now looking back, that the X-Men are like way ahead of their time, and back in a day where the technology just wasn't there yet to be able to do a real good X-Men movie. You had to depend on the cartoons. Think about Batman the Animated Series, right? You got to watch Thor. Perry, you've never seen Thor? You talking about 1, 2, or 3? Well, the reason why, Perry, is because they're like, who is this doofus that's never seen this before? I mean, really? No, you've seen Iron Man. I know, because I saw you watch the video. Yeah, exactly. Comics, and that's a sign of a good story being told, because when a old adult can watch it and a young person can watch it, and people can get both sides of the spectrum. The youth gets the youthy type age stuff, and the adult still likes it enough. And I mean, that's good quality storytelling right there. Yeah, he wanted to take him out because he wanted Jean Grey for himself. Yeah. Well, Perry, there's just so much better than that. I mean, you just scratch the surface, man. You just scratch the surface. It's master storytelling. Not as good as the comics, but it's master storytelling nevertheless. So, yeah. Well, and Batman the Animated Series, like I said, even Spider-Man. Anyway, those cartoons were really good. Everybody stay safe out there. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, keep reading and keep collecting. Adios.